Hello, everybody. Welcome to Abnormal Investigations. Still got a little bit of the cold. Shouldn't be as bad tonight, I don't think. It was rough to get over, let me tell you. I fought with this thing for a week, but I think I'm on the downhill now. That's the good thing. Looks like we got a few people in here tonight. We got Starfire. Dana's in here. Randy Petticourt is moderating and co-hosting tonight. We've got Scott B will be in here moderating and co-hosting tonight. We got Drew. I see Drew and Starfire mostly right now in the chat. Carolyn Rivera, good to see you. It's always good to see you. We got Keith Blunt in here tonight. Good to see you always. He's a huge supporter of the videos we put out. You can always count on him being in there, at least leaving a comment. Michael, the Freedom Biker Barnes, good to see you. Got a lot of, looks like a few new people in here tonight, which is good. Tonight, guys, we're going to talk about Brenda Hamilton. It's going to be a pretty good show tonight. We're going to dive a little bit into what went on with her. I'm going to go ahead and bring Scott in real quick, and then we'll bring Randy on.
Hello, everybody.
What's going on, Scott?
Hey, Michael. I'll just sitting here waiting for the show.
Thank you, Lisa Ann. Glad to have you as a member.
Thank you.
Yeah, tonight should be a pretty good show. Should be a pretty in-depth show. Jessie, she bounced on us. She said she can't come in tonight, so we're not going to have any of her questions unless she puts them in chat.
Yeah.
I told her that she should have to come in. If I got to suffer through it, she should have to suffer through it, right?
I guess. Is she moderating, or is she just laying back?
She's moderating.
Okay. Well, that's half good.
Yeah, at least she's halfway here.
Yeah, halfway.
But I think we got her halfway when she's here too, so I'm not sure.
Don't be mean to her. She might leave.
or execute me.
Yeah, one of the two.
That. There's a lot of things going on. I'm not going to go into it tonight, but tomorrow night at 8:00, guys, we're going to do a live, and we're not going to do no bashing show or anything like that. That's not our style. I'm just going to present some evidence and some proof, and just to show you all that it's important to me to clear my name, to clear my family's name. And there's been a big turn of events that's happened to where some more proof has come out, and I can prove it now with a witness that can prove it. And I'm going to put it out there because I believe that whenever you can show a habit of somebody lying, and then they have that habit of doing so, then you can, they go hand in hand at showing what you're going to find even later. But we're going to address a few people tomorrow night, and a few things that's went on, and a few people that's decided to follow the darkness, and we'll get into that tomorrow. Tonight, Brenda Hamilton, guys. A lot of people have been wanting us to take a dive back into this. Let's go ahead and get Randy in here. I'll make sure he's ready whenever he's ready. There's Mr. Randy.
Hey, Randy. You're sideways, but that's okay. I don't know how you're doing that. That's amazing. If you had red hair, I would have left.
Now you're sideways the other way. Right there. Yeah, if he'd have been upside down beating on a window, I'd have been done.
Oh, well, I'm telling you. Oh, Lord.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah. Sound good.
Good evening, Abnormal family, and hello, You Scared Jody. Welcome to the show, everybody. Tonight's, I guess, a story night with Mike tonight. We want to thank everybody for joining in and watching the show, and we hope you enjoy this. Y'all have a good evening and have fun. And hello, Pam Singleton.
That is, and Randy's right. We hope that everybody can learn something and have fun doing it.
Right.
That's part of being a family, is showing up and hanging out and maybe accidentally learning something. I want to thank Tim Wrestler for that donation. God bless you, and thank you for that.
Thank you, Tim.
Well, are you all real familiar with the Brenda Hamilton case? Okay. So Randy's going to be in for a good surprise tonight.
Oh.
I love to throw me in here cold. No information, just wing it the whole way.
That's the best way to do it.
I don't mind. That's what I'm here for, to help you out.
I remember the name, but it's been a while. I know she was attacked and killed by something.
Uh-huh. I believe, if I remember right, she was one of my first cases I actually came out with. I believe was one of my.
Yep.
Might have been even my first, maybe my first case.
Yeah, that was she. Yeah, she was one of your first cases.
Right. It's good to have you here, Michael. Freedom Biker Barnes. It's good to see you. We got Cat Mom in here tonight.
Hello, Cat Mom.
And Jesse said, yes, it was one of my first ones I had looked into.
Yeah, that and the little boy in the Smoky Mountains that disappeared.
Yeah, I think we're going to do him next time we do our live. I think we're going to look into him a little bit deeper. But to everybody's surprise, our next two lives that are coming up, the next 2 Mondays, we actually have a guest. So we're not going to tell you who. It's going to be a surprise, but we do have 2 guests coming on next Monday and the Monday after that. So we do have some guests lined up for our show. It's going to be,
right.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. We got some really good guests lined up. I'm really excited.
Yeah, it'll be nice. I can't wait.
And we've never had them on the show, if anybody wants to know. So they will be fresh. 2 fresh guests. Fresh meat.
As long as you don't use bait and feed them thing.
Yeah, we're not going to feed them to anything, hopefully.
Invite them for dinner.
So on Brenda Hamilton, I think most of us probably that know the case, we remember the headline, "The Haunting Case of a 77-year-old school teacher mauled to death by an unknown animal in coastal North Carolina." It's been taken nationwide, and the search for answers has also been nationwide. She passed away 3 days later after the initial attack. The first speculation released by police was that she was attacked by either a coyote, pack of wolves, or even wild dogs. DNA evidence concluded that only the attacker was canine in nature. Now, we're going to get more into the reason that we're saying that the canine is canine in nature. I know a lot of people, when I first released this, a lot of people were a little bit frustrated because they were saying, I don't understand how they're saying unknown canine. And I probably wasn't clear enough in clarifying what the unknown canine means, because a lot of people say, well, they can take the blood from a dog and they can tell you what breed it is, if it's a full blood, and they can do that. I'm not saying by unknown canine that they wasn't able to do that, but there is a variation to the DNA that we're going to talk about and what makes this case stand out from a lot of the other attacks that we have looked at. This case is unique in its nature. There's a lot of holes in it. There's a lot of questions that people have. And even to this day, they do not know what killed Miss Hamilton, but the case has a weird standing. The case has been closed, but they will not release information on the case, which is really strange. Usually when a case is closed, you can file a FOIA, you can go in and you can investigate it yourself. But for some reason, this case has really, really been wrapped up really tight. And what that tells me, in my opinion, this is just an opinion, is that there is things that they either don't want us to know, or there is things that they are questioning that they don't want us to know they're questioning. There's something there they're not comfortable with sharing to everybody.
Right.
That would be what I would guess.
Yeah, I agree.
She was Western Carolina University. She was a biology and forensic science instructor, which I think is interesting. She had studied that. Now, what they done is the sheriff's office, and what you see in a lot of these cases is they were really quick to want to blame dogs. I mean, as soon as she was attacked, as soon as they found her, as soon as they got her to the hospital, they're already saying dogs. I think dogs are used a lot in cover-ups. I think that whenever they don't have a quick answer, it's easy just to say a dog done it, because most of society is going to be okay with it being a dog. Because when somebody gets attacked and killed in the road, you're not going to come out and say, well, we're pretty sure a werewolf done this. I mean, you can't do that. You're going to cause mass panic. People are going to be freaking out and making silver bullets. So I think that's why they done it. Now, they did bring in Western Carolina University, another biology and forensic science instructor, Maureen Hickman, was brought in. She explained to the Beaufort County Commissioners how she came to this conclusion, that she believed that the DNA that they tested from Miss Hamilton belonged to a dog, but she would not say it was 100% canine. So something to me is already alerting them something's off. Something's not adding up. Something is different. Hickman said she found 2 distinct canine matches, but when she was asked if it's possible it may not be a dog, Hickman said, and this is quote, anything is possible, that there's but it's very unlikely. Okay. She's already admitting it's possible that it's not a dog, but she's not going to rule out that it wasn't a dog type. Okay. So anything's possible. That the only exception she says I can see is possibly, and this is a very important, I think, quote from her, is she says that this is possibly a hybrid. Okay, so hybrids can be anything. A hybrid can be something mixed with something else, which I think that's where this is going to end up taking us. It gets pretty wild because she says, I believe it's possibly a hybrid. And then through DNA, Hickman said that she knows, and this is where it gets really important to me, the mother of the animal is a dog. Through the DNA, the mother of the animal is a dog. But they cannot say what the father of that animal was. It's possibly a hybrid of either a coyote, a wolf, or something we don't have in our data bank. Now, if you, we'll discuss this just a little bit and I'll get your all's opinions, but if you believe the way that we believe, that these creatures are descendants of the Nephilim, that the angels corrupted the DNA, and if, and this is all entertainment purposes only, and if what attacked Miss Hamilton would have been a corrupted, cryptid DNA Eliod, descendant of the Nephilim, it would have had the mother DNA of a dog, an unknown father. Just like what Melba Ketchum found to be in the Sasquatch. Unknown father, known mother. Because the father, which I believe in the Bible, the war between the seed has always been, the father comes from the fallen angel and the contamination of the DNA through all species, which tells me that whenever they would have done a DNA test on her, and I may be wrong, I hope T. Carp's in here listening, I'm sure he will have a lot better understanding of this, that the DNA would present on the mother's side a canine and then an unknown father. Do you think, what is your thoughts on that?
I agree with what you're saying. You know, who they probably know what it is. They probably know what that DNA is because they've probably taken that DNA from other cryptids that's been sent in and stuff. But they're not going to come out and say it's a Nephilim from the fallen angels or something like that, you know. But I really believe that it was probably a animal, a canine, and possibly, my opinion, Nephilim. If we're talking about a dog man, werewolf.
That's what I think too. I think you got a dogman werewolf like creature. And there's more supporting evidence in this that we'll get into in a little bit that even witnesses will corroborate kind of what we're talking about. What do you think? Any thoughts yet?
Without more evidence, I'd say what it was. Here it is. You know, do we have pictures? Do we have the DNA evidence to look at ourselves? I mean, I would agree with both of what I was saying about them being the children of the fallen angels, if that makes sense.
All right, it's going to get a little bit deeper as we go, and I hope that it will start kind of falling in place for everybody. Hello, Margie, good to see you. Hello, Lori C, good to see you. Hey, I haven't seen Lori in a while. Good to see you. All right, so U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services Field Supervisor Peter Benjamin said, there hasn't been a wolf attack on a human in the 48 states in the last 100 years. So they're making it sound like it's probably pretty unlikely that she was attacked by a wolf. Some people believe the two dogs who often walked along with Miss Hamilton on her morning walks are to blame. The dogs did have Hamilton's DNA on them. Something Hamilton's daughter said should be expected considering the fact the dogs were on the scene with the owners who tried to help Hamilton. I don't think it was the dogs, and I believe that her DNA was found on the dogs. And I'll tell you why I believe that. We know that whenever Miss Hamilton went on her walk that morning, she would go on her walks so early in the morning that sometimes it would still be dark. She would use a flashlight to navigate her way down the road. She would walk with a bunch of dogs every morning that she was familiar with that belonged to the neighbors. Wasn't uncommon. She actually, I think, enjoyed walking with those dogs. While she was walking, something attacked her. And while she was attacked, we know she was injured pretty bad. The exact words were, she was partially consumed alive. Now, whenever the police examined the dogs that were with her, of course, you're going to find her DNA on those dogs because it's a dog's instincts to lick wounds on somebody if somebody's bleeding. The dogs are going to be running around, stepping in the blood. So, I mean, the dogs are going to be there. I mean, I've been cut before or something, and what the dogs run over and they try to lick it because to a dog, that's how they heal you. They clean a wound. So I don't think it's mysterious that she was walking with dogs, that she was attacked so brutally, and that the dogs had her DNA on them. I don't find that weird. I think that that's actually probably expected. What
Yeah,
would you think that?
yeah, I agree. I would say probably when she opened her door to go walking, that the dogs, their neighbors' dogs, all ran up to her on the porch, probably petting them and everything before she left. And they followed her along. Yeah, it would be easy to have her DNA on the neighbors' dogs just by touching them and petting them. And, I know when I go past neighbors' houses, they got dogs that I'm used to. They'll run up and like beg you to pet them, and I'm sure that's what they did with her. Where was she found? In a ditch?
Yeah, she was in a ditch, covered up to her shoulders in water.
Okay. Yeah.
Partially consumed.
Was there something about the bite marks on her that was different, or?
There was speculation at best. Some people said that the bite marks on her were larger than what a dog would be able to induce on a human.
Right.
Also, there was also speculation that there was more teeth in the bite than what dogs have. But you have a lot of conflicting, because a lot of people say, well, maybe they didn't have that many teeth. It was a double bite. The people that are going to try to cover this up are going to throw in everything they can to
right.
To, I think, throw us off. They even go on to say, on Monday night, the commissioners voted to bring a third-party canine expert to look over the findings as well. The Beaufort County Sheriff's Office also recovered hair fibers. These are now going to test those against the hairs of both coyotes and wolves. Here's the funny thing. Those results were never published, and the findings were never given to the commission.
Wow. I've got a question on what state did she live in?
North Carolina.
North Carolina. I don't know if North Carolina has a wolf population.
They said that they, again, conflicting stories. The wardens say there isn't any, but people have said that they believe that they have saw a black wolf, which we'll get more into that here in a little bit.
Okay.
I don't believe what they were seeing was a wolf, though.
No.
I think what they were seeing was something else.
Go ahead, Randy.
Referring to the bite pattern not matching up, if the bite pattern doesn't match up, how can they blame the domesticated dogs for the death of the woman? That makes absolute no sense.
Right.
I think they count on civilian ignorance, if that makes sense.
Yeah. They give a lot of misinformation to mislead you and confuse you. That way you don't know what's going on. My opinion.
Watch the right hand while the left hand does this.
Smoke and mirrors. You're absolutely right. Because what are they going to tell you? A wolfman, werewolf, a monster half ate the woman. You know what kind of terror and panic that would spread across the world? I mean, can you imagine if people knew the monsters were real? I mean, how many people would go out at night if they knew that some monster out there could literally eat them? Right. They don't know, and what you know can kill you.
I guarantee you everybody would be carrying something on their side.
Most definitely.
I mean, if you knew, and the government would have came out when you was a kid, and the government said, "Okay, guys, we're gonna we're going to have to break the news. There's creatures in these woods that we don't know what they are. There's werewolves and dogmen and Bigfoot and alien looking things. And
Come on, let's go camping.
yeah. Now, how many people are going to get up in the morning and take, Grandpa's single shot 22 and go squirrel hunting?
Shit.
They're not. I promise you, a 22 is not going to kill what I saw. You're just going to make it bad.
Yeah, just piss it off. Yeah, no doubt.
But then it makes you wonder, how many times as a kid, when you were out in the woods, how many times when you got afraid or scared, was there really something following you?
Right.
Probably there was. That was like your guardian angel, or your. Some people call it a sixth sense or a danger sense. You ever had that feeling that you were being watched when you're out in the middle of nowhere and you get creepy? You got something watching you. Is that a natural? Is that a natural defense, or is that like our guardian angels letting you know that there's a threat nearby?
Probably a little of both.
I've even had the feeling where I just wanted to run. How many of y'all felt that? Where you go you walk in somewhere, but but you want to run out.
That cold spinal chill starts creeping down your spine, and you got that fight or flight moment, and you have to make a decision. Do you make your last stand here, or do you try to flee away from whatever this thing is and pray you can outrun it?
Yeah.
And I think that if you ever outrun it, it's because it let you outrun it.
Yeah, that's 100%. Yeah, that's 100% right.
Referring to that story with the woman driving down the highway at 65 miles an hour, and the kids are freaking out, and she looks over there, and there's a werewolf running beside the car, looking in at the kids, not even breathing hard. That would scare the hell out of you.
Oh, yeah.
Would you feel down the road again? I mean, would you want to drive again down the highway at night or wherever she was at again? Probably not.
Yeah, I would be carrying a flamethrower in my vehicle. wouldn't be no mace or pepper spray.
Can you imagine you get pulled over and the cop asks you the flamethrower? You have to tell him in case the werewolf attacks the officer. Can you imagine what the officer would do? Now, there might be a different story. Yeah, we understand, but you can't be killing werewolves with flamethrowers. It's a fire hazard. Bring down the entire forest to kill one werewolf? Come on.
Yeah, I mean.
Oh, Lord.
I know whenever, I seen the things I seen, I wanted to run, I wanted to get away. Didn't want to be there. I was with my mom one time.
Yeah.
Sarah was just a baby, and my mom would go out and walk in the evenings, and she would walk down this. Our road was paved, but there was no houses on it out in the middle of the country, and she would push her in a stroller all the way down to where the old water plant was at. There was an old water plant that had 2 ponds and an old building and a big tall tower, and we would walk to that tower. And we would walk back home. Mom carried at the time a .32 pistol on her ankle, and we were on our walk, and on our way back, the tree line that ran up the fence, where the pastures, they would let the trees grow when the grass was tall. Then you had the pasture. We heard something following us in those trees, breathing real hard, like a huge animal with huge lungs, just breathing. And it was following us, and it followed us all the way home. Now, Mom pulled her gun out, and when she pulled the gun out, it backed off. I believe that these things know what guns are, and I believe they know that they can be hurt, because if they didn't, they wouldn't back off whenever somebody would pull a gun.
Right. And if they're part canine, they have a smell sense that's so strong it's not funny. They can smell the gunpowder in the gun. They can smell that.
The cleaning oil and everything.
Yeah, I mean, people say they try to hide it or something like that, but I think they know. Even if you got it hidden, I think they know it's on you.
Right. Hello,
Just
Lily. Good to see you.
Just like the gun oil smell or the powder smell.
Right.
So.
Right. Yes, Dana, I do have a super mom. That's for sure. She's one of a kind. So back to the Brenda Hamilton. People started in the area. People started speculating that what attacked her, Miss Hamilton, was cougars, cats, red wolves, etc. But the evidence at hand says that it was canine. And again, they reiterate the father cannot be determined. So
Right.
again, you have your first initial investigation. They collect the DNA. They say, okay, the mother DNA is a canine, the father unknown. Okay. So they bring in a whole separate team. These are, and I quote, professionals come in and they take the DNA and they test the DNA. This is supposedly all they do. This is what they specialize in. That's why they were brought in. Canine mother, unknown father. So you have two different DNAs that came back matching the same results. So now or I think what they know is they know now that they are not dealing with a simple animal attack. What they're dealing with right now is something that is not supposed to be in North Carolina, Beaufort County, North Carolina.
Right.
Friday, February 15th, 2019, Miss Hamilton was there to greet it, but her walk, they said, went horribly wrong. She was attacked and partially consumed alive by some sort of animal, and I think that's important by what they're saying here. Some sort of animal, not a dog, some sort of animal. Neighbors found her in a ditch with a freshly killed rodent nearby. 2 days later, she sadly succumbed to her injuries. Now, in that one paragraph right there, they're deliberately hiding two things, but really one that I noticed. One thing that they're hiding in that paragraph that I noticed, it really stuck out to me, is the wording of the incident. And the wording of the incident that I've noticed, okay, so they have tricked everybody's brain right now, right? And don't let them fool you. They're taught to do this. Police are taught to do this. They have you thinking up above, canine, 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 cougars, wolves, cats, wild animal. That's what people in the town are going to be thinking. So whenever they come down to make their final statement, what they say is some sort of animal, okay? So they think they can get away with some sort of animal, making the people believe they're talking about a wolf, a red wolf, a black wolf, a coyote, a cougar. To them, that's the some sort of animal, but they're not lying to you. They're saying some sort of animal by going with the DNA, saying we don't know what it is, but that's their cover up. See, they can tell the truth and still allude to a to the non-binary truth. What they're doing is they're manipulating your mind to make you believe something different than what they're telling you, but still they're not lying to you. I hope you all are catching on kind of what I'm trying to say. It's hard for me to explain it. It's been a while since I worked.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Awesome explanation, Mike. Awesome information. Thank you for that. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
The funniest thing is every time I've ever heard of a person getting attacked by a dog, which is what they were saying. It was canine, but I've never seen no dog eat a person and take bites out of them and eat them. That they just attack them and bite them all over, rip their skin, but they don't consume it.
You're exactly right. I looked that up, Scott. I was interested into that, and I did research that into this case. Human flesh and human meat is the most, on the bottom scale, undesirable taste to a canine. They are not interested in eating human flesh.
No.
But here's something weird, something very strange. I'm going to throw this out there for you guys, but I'm going to put it with this is entertainment only. What did the Giants have a taste for?
Human flesh. Fee-fi-fo. I smell the blood of an Englishman. Anybody remember that story?
Right.
Yep.
So if you have a hybrid canine, this DNA is altered and mixed. Do you now have a canine creature that has a taste for human flesh?
Look at the data. What does the data tell you? What does the data that you've studied tell you about that question that you just asked?
I believe that depending on which DNA the creature carries more of, the mother or the father, that creature could potentially have a taste for human flesh. Now, you could take it a step further, and you could go down more of, as a Christian, my belief, not saying this is true, but as a Christian, my belief would be maybe they don't even, all of them have a taste for human flesh, but they do it out of a blasphemy to God by eating his people the blood that you're not supposed to consume, and they do it out of a sacrificial attack because they hate us so much. Scott's looking at me like, dude done lost it.
Perhaps they get power from eating human flesh. Could they get more abilities when they eat a human? Could they get stronger?
Good question.
If they kill you, and I know we can't say the word, but if they kill you and you're afraid, could they be getting that certain thing that's carried in the blood when you're afraid, whenever they eat you, to get that feeling? That makes sense.
Very well could be. They get some kind of like a druggie getting their hit of their whatever drug that they're addicted to.
Right.
It's like an addiction. Perhaps that's why vampires, once they get a thirst in the blood, they can't stop because of it's so much of a draw to them. Perhaps some vampires, when you hear about certain massacres that are just horrendous, where the bodies are spread all over the place, that a normal human couldn't have done that. Could that be a bloodlust where they just lose their minds and go on a feeding?
Right. Because I don't think they like us. I think that if one of them allows you to be around, it's not because they like you, it's because they're tolerating you. That's just my opinion.
Right. And like we talked about before, some of them are really not wanting to hurt anybody. They know what they did and what's happened, but they don't want to go and hurt somebody. And then you got ones that are angry that will attack you just out of spite because they don't like you.
Right.
Yeah.
I can't post it, but Michelle said the right word in chat, guys. I cannot say or post that word. They will ding me so hard for that. But yeah, Michelle, I believe, is correct. That's the word that I was talking about. Back to the cover up, what I was talking about, that they were covering two things up. Now, they say some sort of animal, which again is going to lead people to think that they're agreeing with the people that it is a wild animal that done this. Now, the weird thing to me is she was consumed alive. and she was still alive when she was found. We know that she lived 3 days after she was found in a ditch full of water. They say some sort of animal. Neighbors found her in a ditch with a freshly killed rodent nearby. Okay, now what they're not telling you right here is they're saying freshly killed rodent, okay? Now, this freshly killed rodent, and I believe the reason they're calling this a rodent is because the police officer felt that it was necessary to put this rodent in his report, whenever we know the rodent was actually a nutria. And the reason that his report, I believe, in my opinion, was redacted is because nutria are not common to that area. There should not have been any nutria in that area. Nutria are not there. Okay? So they redact his first initial report from it being a nutria, and they place it as a rodent, which is going to make most people think, oh, there could have been a dead possum there, a dead rat there. People aren't getting, you're not getting the full facts, but you're not getting a lie either, right? They're not lying to you. There was a dead rodent there. They're just not telling you what kind of rodent was there.
Right.
And I went on to check all of the nutria articles that was posted during the time that I done my investigation on this case. In almost every one of those articles, nutria has been removed. It's been taken out. The lab located dog mitochondria DNA on a swab from Hamilton's ear, a swab from her scalp, the flashlight she carried in her hand, her hooded sweatshirt, her t-shirt, and here it is, a dead nutria which was found nearby. Okay. The dog mitochondria, which is a deeper look into the DNA, if I'm right, came back the same thing. Canine mother, unknown father.
Now, go ahead.
I was just going to say that really hits hard right there.
What did they do with the dogs that they possibly thought could have been involved? Do you know
the
if
dogs that actually what happened with the dogs? I've got it right here. I want to make sure I get it right.
Right. Because you know
okay. There was no dogs euthanized. All dogs were tested, and I have it somewhere. I'll find it as we go down. But I know that all the dogs, I believe it was a 2-mile radius, were collected, and they were all tested and swabbed. All dogs were returned back to their owners because they did not show, they were not aggressive. They did not have any DNA on them. They checked their bowel movements. There was no human DNA to suggest that they had consumed her or attacked her. So all those dogs were released back to their owners.
Okay.
Which the police even said in the report that whenever they arrived at the scene, the dogs were still around her that had walked with her, but they weren't attacking her. They were not aggressive, and they were not showing any aggressive toward any emergency personnel or police officers. The dogs were not aggressive. So, now this is where they start really trying to trick you. I think that what they're doing here is they're trying to, I'll just read it. Deputies say that DNA likely came from one of the same 2 dogs. However, mitochondria DNA, which comes from the mother, is non-discriminating, and a match to a specific dog could not be made because the father's DNA had contaminated the DNA again. This unknown DNA is throwing everything off. That was the Beaufort County police release. On the morning of Miss Hamilton's attack, the Chavez family was awakened by their dogs barking by the road where the attack occurred. When they went to investigate, they found their dogs near Miss Hamilton, who was lying in a ditch submerged up to her shoulders in water. Mr. Chavez pulled Hamilton from the water while his wife summoned help from another neighbor, Susan Davis. Davis then called 911. EMS personnel arrived to find Hamilton suffering from catastrophic injuries to both arms, both legs, her scalp, and she was transported to Vidant Pit, where she died 3 days later. Police officers said Miss Hamilton was not cooperative during their investigation. That is so
Wow.
stupid and asinine.
That's hard. That's crazy. She was in total shock.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you. I'll tell you later when I get well. I'll tell you what happened.
Yeah, I mean, I just got ate partially by something alive and left in a ditch of water in the dark. I'm not going to be. That really irritated me when I read that. That really did.
Yeah,
piss me off.
that's just stupid.
That's very unprofessional, very rude.
Right? They should have just said she was in shock and couldn't talk.
Right.
Because that's what happened. If you're getting ate alive, you go into shock. There's no doubt.
Oh yes. And then you have to wonder what did she even see?
Oh yeah, right.
No, Lily, I actually looked into that. She didn't make any statements. She was alive when she was found, and but she did not make any statements. She was probably in shock. And I would guess that when she reached the hospital, she was probably put into an induced coma.
Oh
That would be my guess. No, Dana, she didn't say anything.
I mean, just imagine how much blood she lost before they found her.
Sunshine, whenever you say, what was she even conscious? I asked myself that question also, and I would have to say that no, she was not conscious. I think whenever they say that she was found submerged in water, still alive, that meant that she probably still had vitals. She had a heartbeat. I can only imagine probably the infections and stuff that she suffered from just the trauma and laying in a ditch of nasty, polluted, no telling what was in the water. But getting back to the nutria, I got something I want to throw out there for everybody that I thought about. The nutria not supposed to be in the area, not supposed to, don't even exist there, right? What if, and this is a big what if, and I'll let you and Randy elaborate on this as I lay it out there and see what you all think.
Welcome home.
What if we believe that nothing has ever went past the firmament? All these creatures are coming from underground. What if whatever attacked her, it had the nutria, was planning on eating it from underground cave system that may run all underneath the whole United States and God knows where else? It just happened to come out. Miss Hamilton was there. She was prime opportunity. So it decided to feast on her instead of the nutria. And the nutria came from underground where these creatures live and where they come from.
Very possible. That's
What do you think, Randy?
Lots of information to decipher through here.
They didn't say
people on the spot.
They didn't say anything about the nutria being ripped or anything, or they just said it was dead.
No, the nutria was actually killed by whatever attacked Miss Hamilton and had the same DNA. Canine female, unknown father.
Okay.
What killed the rat?
Whatever killed Miss Hamilton.
because it had that DNA on the rat.
Yes.
So it could have been.
And later they retracted the information about the rat.
They called it a rodent instead of a nutria.
Right. Which, like you say, can be possums. It could be raccoons, skunk, anything.
Right.
What puzzles me is the unknown father. They have no more information than that. That's puzzling, especially with the modern day DNA testing that they have.
I'm sure. I'm sure when people turned in, like the people that go out and research and they find hair and they find footprints or whatever, I'm sure they have that DNA in the system, but it's unidentified. From so much, people turning stuff in like that, but they're not going to say it was an unknown DNA. Come out and say that, I don't believe.
Well, we can't. We really have to look at the data. We can't connect any dots if there's no connection there.
Right.
I think my personal opinion is the unknown DNA is angelic DNA.
There you go. And they're not going to disclose that.
Right.
No. Because
break their little stuff.
Even if they have that information in a database, they still can't prove that it's angelic. So they're not the government isn't going to talk about things that it can't control or things that it can't explain. In my opinion.
Next to the ditch, what was next to the ditch? Was it a wood line? Did it say it was a wood line?
Yes.
So
the police believed that she was getting into the water to try to escape what was attacking her. I disagree. I have another thought, and it's probably a darker thought, but I have a different thought. What do you guys think?
My thought might be perhaps this creature was making some noise to draw the woman closer to the water where it ambushed her. And the rat happened to maybe smell the blood and saw an easy meal and ended up a victim as well as the woman. My opinion.
I think from what I'm hearing, I'm thinking that maybe she was walking along that ditch, the water, and it was out hunting food, which she probably grabbed that rat and killed it and was going to eat it like you were saying, and then she happened to walk along. And it says, wait a minute, there's more food on that than this.
Right. And Lily Lewis asked a good question. Lily, I don't know. You would have to ask somebody more familiar with Beaufort County, North Carolina. I'm not sure where the nearest military base is to that.
I'll find out.
You know, Randy?
Not offhand, no. I would have to research it.
What is it called?
Beaufort County, North Carolina.
Question about the rat. Do we know any information if there was missing chunks out of the rat as well, or was it just killed?
It just says that it was deceased.
If this creature was going to kill a nutria, why would it do it so close near humans if it wasn't stalking the humans to begin with?
500 miles away.
500?
500 miles is the closest military base.
I think that the nutria, now this is theory. If this creature was in an underground cave, and Amber, I don't know if there is one close to there or not, but it's believed that there is a connecting cave is all underneath the United States. If this creature had came from below, let's just say this creature is in a cave, and he decides that he's roaming this cave, and there's this nutria, so hey, I'm hungry. It's there. I'm going to eat it. Boom, bites it and kills it. It's carrying it in its mouth. It comes out of the cave, which is, say, there's an opening by where Miss Hamilton's walking, and it sees Miss Hamilton. It drops the nutria, and goes for the opportunity for more of a meal because she's walking in the dark. It's a pretty much a deserted road. There's wood line, there's cover. She's elderly. She's prime opportunity.
Oh yeah, what was her age?
77.
Yeah.
And she has a whole pack of dogs around her. So this creature is going to say, what are they going to blame killed her? They're going to say all these dogs killed her. So, because I believe these creatures are very intelligent. I believe they're angelic. I believe they think at a level at least compared to ours, if not more. And it saw opportunity. It seen a chance because we know that it consumed parts of her. It was hungry. I don't believe that she ran and jumped in the water to try to get away from the creature. I believe the creature was dragging her to the wood line and was disturbed by the neighbors running to help her that heard their dogs barking, and whatever had her retreated in fear of being seen.
I have a question for you, Mike. Do we have any kind of a time frame from the time this woman was attacked to the time that she was discovered? Do we have any kind of a time frame?
They don't give an exact time frame that I could find, but I believe it was pretty quick. She went on her walk. She was attacked. The neighbors heard the attack, heard the dogs barking. They ran to her aid and then dialed 911. So I believe it was pretty quick.
Well, I think it would have to be very quick. If she had bite pieces of meat missing off of her body, she would have bled out. So it had to be real quick.
Unless, what was the temperature? Do we know if it was cold or if it was warm that night?
That I don't know.
Because if it was cold, the human body can last longer because the cold will slow the loss.
Right.
It would have been it would have been cold. It was in February. So yeah.
So we don't. There could have been a little bit of time then because we don't really have the information like A to B timing frame from when she was walking till the time that somebody came along and found them. We don't have that kind of a play-by-play information. So we just have to go.
Her husband said that she would leave around 5 a.m. in the morning.
Okay.
So she was leaving in the dark.
Okay.
Beaufort County Sheriff deputies and animal control officers responded to the scene. North Carolina wildlife officers and biologists also responded to aid in the investigation. Investigators were not able to locate any eyewitnesses to the attack, which likely occurred during darkness. But shortly after 5 o'clock a.m. that morning, deputies located a dead nutria, dead near where the attack began. The nutria appeared to be a fresh kill, and injuries to it appeared to have been inflicted by the same animal. A considerable amount of blood was also found on the road, leading investigators to where Miss Hamilton was found lying in the ditch. The two dogs found near Hamilton were examined about an hour after the attack. Deputies and animal control officers. The dogs displayed no signs of aggression toward deputies. They were not wet. The dogs were not wet. I think that's very important. There was no visible sign of mud or blood on either dog. Later on the afternoon, the attack, field tests for blood were performed on both dogs, tested positive for trace amounts of human blood on their paws and on their mouths, which they believed the dogs had stepped in the blood and had licked the wounds on Miss Hamilton, which they say would not be uncommon for a dog to do.
You know, and the weirdest thing is every case where there is a cryptid, a dog will run away or not do, you know what I'm saying? They don't do anything.
Right.
So that right there, I guarantee you, if they saw that thing coming out, eating on her, I would think they would run. And then
I think that's what happened too. What you're saying, I think they ran back to the neighbor's home where they lived. The dogs were barking, and then the neighbors came outside because their dogs are barking, and then they go after what their dogs are barking at. They find all this blood in the road, and then they find the drag marks, which I think it was taking her. and it
Oh, yeah.
finds her. It dropped her in the water. I think it was going to take her with it. I think she was going to be another 411. I think it was.
Right.
I think it was going to totally take her
Right.
Why did it drop her?
because the neighbors were coming.
Off with her. I mean, those things are fast.
Right, but
It easily ran off and ate what it wanted to and discarded the body someplace else.
or maybe it got spooked because of the neighbors living in the country. A lot of country folk, including me, we have very powerful spotlights. So I think that what could happen is they heard the dogs barking, they throw the front door open, and they just start shooting. So this creature knows, hey, if they're going to throw that door open and start spotlighting, I don't want to be seen. It's just going to drop whatever it's got and get away.
Correct.
Because even if you're quick, a good bright spotlight, it's going to be challenging to get away and at least not be a part of you seen.
Right.
Did
she walk with a flashlight? Was that mentioned?
Yeah, she did. They actually swabbed the flashlight and found that DNA on the flashlight from the other creature.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where it could have reached and knocked it out of her hand.
Yeah.
Or she was trying to defend herself with the flashlight.
Very possible.
Yeah.
It was smacking it, and that's how it got the DNA transferred from the unknown creature to the flashlight, perhaps.
Right.
The closest military base she says she found is 13.4 miles away, and it's North Carolina National Guard Base. Less than 20 minutes from her in Beaufort. That's interesting.
Well, I'm going to put Alexa in the corner. That's where I got my information, was from Alexa.
Maybe I'll need to go camp that spot, Mike.
Yeah, I'm going to get right on that. I'm going to take Scott with me.
Yeah.
Good bait.
We'll take Jesse down there. I think Jesse would enjoy that.
We'll let her. The more diverse bait, the better critters you catch. I hear.
On the same day of the attack, wildlife took several items of evidence to the forensics. They took them to Western Carolina University to be tested. The next day, sheriff investigators were told by North Carolina wildlife biologists and domestic canine biologists that DNA was located on Hamilton's outer jacket and one of her shoes and on the flashlight, and the base test for the DNA was, again, this is a third test, canine mother, unknown father.
Right. So, and the thing is, go ahead, Mike.
I was just going to say the lab done further investigations on the DNA and broke it down as much as they could, and they could not yield any different results.
Like you were saying, the DNA, they can tell what breed of dog the DNA came from. If it was a collie, if it was a wolf, whatever, because they have that data. They could not identify that.
Yes, long as it was not contaminated.
Right. So they couldn't identify what the male was because it was contaminated by Nephilim blood. My opinion.
That's what I believe. I think she was attacked by a werewolf or a dogman. Because all the dogs that were tested, and you're talking a 2-mile radius, they went and collected every dog. None of them exerted any aggression. All of them were quarantined, and all dogs were released to their owners after 10 days of observation that cleared all DNA and aggression tests.
Question for you, Mike.
Uh-huh.
Do you know if this particular area has had any more cases similar to this in the general area? Or is this the only one? Have the law enforcement encountered this before? Is there any cases to compare this with? We can compare and contrast reports to one another.
Not that I'm aware of. I couldn't honestly answer that. I'm not sure.
Because if we could find out if there's cases,
right?
Does that make sense? If we could put plots on the map and build data points to get a bigger picture, to see if we can perhaps, see what we can see with data, if that makes any sense.
Oh yeah, and you know what's really weird to me is you're talking a 2-mile square radius. That's a pretty large area.
Yeah, but if it's in the country, and everybody has a lot of acreage, it might not be that many, in that 2-mile radius. If it is country, farmland and all that.
Right.
So you might have 10 houses in that 2-mile radius, if it is open like that, like open land.
Right. Virginia, 2019.
Because if they came in my neighborhood and had to take DNA from every dog 2 miles away, they'd still be working on it. Right. So I'm assuming they probably had a small amount of dogs because the houses were distant apart or something. I don't. Just opinion.
Lily says that North Carolina is a major hotspot for UFOs and cryptids, so that's interesting too.
Where's the Brown Mountain Lights?
I don't have any idea.
Anybody? Somebody in there? The Brown Mountain Lights. Where are they located? The Brown Mountains.
I think they're up by Brown Mountain.
Well, I think it's either in North Carolina or South Carolina.
Right.
Which if it's North Carolina, then that would be closer to where she would be. Right. I mean, I don't know. Just thinking. I need to stop doing that.
I get in trouble when I do that. Another weird thing too that I think's weird. They were so they're wanting to know so bad what attacked her. They sent 33 more items off to be tested. And during the investigation, investigators learned that Miss Hamilton walked the same route frequently as part of her daily exercise regimen. So something may have knew her regimen. During her walk, it was common for her to be accompanied by domestic dogs in the area, including 2 dogs found near the morning of the attack. Hamilton's husband reported none of the dogs ever bothered her or displayed any aggression toward her on her daily walks. In fact, they were excited to see her.
Right. Like I was saying, they probably ran to her porch every time they heard her open that door, if it made a certain sound, and they knew she was coming out that time, and they went to greet her. So yeah, she's petting them and everything.
And then out of all 33 items that were tested, everything it says out of all 33 yielded no DNA results other than what was first found. So they're not getting anywhere. They're doing a whole lot of DNA testing, and they're not finding out anything than what they've already known since the beginning. Hello, Wolf Lady. Good to see you.
Hello, Wolf Lady.
So, to me, and this just may be me, and people may disagree, but I think we're spending a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of valuable assets on testing the same thing over and over and over, and we're not yielding any different results. We're not making any headway. I think that we should have been boots on the ground more in that area, trying to find out what is around in that area, what is there, what physical, tangible evidence was left there, footprints, hair fibers, saliva. Is there any caves in the area? Has there been, any neighbors reporting peeping toms? Anything like that, which we're going to get into that in just a second, because there was some things that happened that's frustrating, but
So what if it was a juvenile dog man on where he was on his own, leaving the pack to start his own? He was looking around through the woods at that ditch and caught that whatever it was, and tried to eat it. And then she came along, and there was more food.
right. Well, not to get like, I don't want to like. Okay, I'm going to say this the best I can without offending the family. That's my most important thing, is not to do that.
Right.
The best way I know how to put this, her catastrophic attacks, parts of her limbs were barely attached. Where she was consumed, allegedly, it was from the midsection, if that makes sense.
Right.
Without going into great detail.
Right.
Which we know that supports our major organs.
Exactly.
Usually what they go for.
Lots of vitamins in the intestines.
Oh, Jessie wants to join us, I think. She can't stand it.
Morning, Jess. We'd love to have you on the show with us.
Okay. Am I in? Can you hear me?
No.
Yes, ma'am.
No.
Who is this?
Yeah.
Hey. Cool picture of you.
Oh, thank you. That's
now,
my
Jessie,
little.
Jessie, you can't just come in the middle of the show and ask me hard questions. You can't do that. That's not allowed.
Well, you're killing me. You're not reading any of my comments.
Well,
okay.
Look, I'm looking at this. Look, I'm watching this too. This is where I have all my information. So I'm really trying to watch two screens.
Uh-huh.
See, he does that on purpose. I'm here to ask your question.
So first of all, one of my things is that I just realized when I was looking that up, and I don't know if you saw it while I was in the middle of trying to log in, but Ocracoke is less than 50 miles as the crow flies. So when you were asking about other oddities that had happened around that area, you guys know of Ocracoke Island, right?
I'm not familiar with it.
I'm not either.
And me either.
Ocracoke? Oh my goodness. That was the first settlement that came over and all disappeared. That nobody could find traces of. They all disappeared, and it looked like there was a huge massacre.
I've heard that story.
Is that where all the houses were empty and the cars and everything was still there, or like they just disappeared?
No. This was before cars. This was back. Yeah, this was like one of the first settlements that came over, and they left a bunch of people here to basically fend for themselves, and the natives were supposed to help them, but then when they came back, they were gone. Everyone was gone, and it looked like it had been massacred.
Wow.
So yeah, when you say if there was anything else to show a history, well, that right there, that goes, I mean, all the way back to the beginning when we first had European settlements coming over here.
Mm.
Well,
and then,
yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, there was another thing too, and now I can't remember what it was because again, my brain is so foggy.
Well, go back and look at your questions.
So, and then did you ever touch? Shush. Did you ever touch on the fact that how big these dogs were? I know they didn't actually give like a breed. How big the dogs were that they found near Brenda?
No, they just talk about that they were dogs that belonged to the neighbor. They were just.
Okay.
I mean, if you read deep into where they done the 2 mile, where they grabbed all the dogs within the 2 mile radius, they talk about that they grabbed everything from collies to Rottweilers to pit bulls to schnauzers, but none of them exerted any aggressiveness. None of them had any DNA. I mean, they kept these dogs long enough to do swabs. They waited for them to use the restroom. They checked their fecal matter. They checked everything, and none of these dogs, other than the 2 dogs that was with her that day, but those
Right.
2 dogs, when they tested them, the DNA on those 2 dogs, it was not their DNA on her. It didn't even match the unknown canine DNA. So that was
Right.
really strange.
But the thing to note is that the 2 dogs that were near her at the time were small dogs. 2 small dogs that wouldn't have been capable of causing that much havoc on her.
Right. Right. Yeah. She
So these
had
aren't.
two smaller dogs with her, and it also says she was also accompanied by 2 collies, which
Oh,
medium-sized dog, I
everything.
guess.
Yeah, everything that I had read, they only mentioned the 2 smaller dogs. I hadn't read anything on the 2 collies.
Yeah,
And
even some people even called her the dog lady because they said all the dogs loved her. Like they loved to be with her. She was always with these dogs.
Right.
The dog whisperer, if you will.
yeah, collies don't have an aggression like a Doberman or a German Shepherd. They don't have that attack like they do when they
No.
when they're scared. Collies are pretty gentle. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Well, for the most part, I mean, they still have a protective instinct. That's
Right.
why they're good. I mean, farm dogs.
Yeah. But like I was telling Mike earlier, I don't know any reports where a person was ate by a dog.
No.
They bite them, they attack them. They might pull some meat off with the bite, but nothing consumed. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Right. And I'm glad you brought that up because I was looking back at my older notes where I first done this case, and I actually spoke to one of our dog handlers. There was a police officer at the time that I was working with, and I'd asked him about this case, and he was the one that initially gave me the information. And I'll tell you what he said. He said, human flesh is one of the most least desirable flavors to a dog. When a dog attacks somebody and a person is missing either flesh or body parts, most of the time fingers, the reason for them missing them is not because the dog was trying to eat the person. It's because the dog was doing the damage during the initial attack of the dog, which means the dog had no desire to consume the human, but they see other humans as they see other dogs as a threat, and they try to stop the threat. And that's the only way they know how to do it is by inflicting massive damage with their mouth.
Right.
So, yeah, we're not desirable on their taste. Now, a cat, on the other hand, a cat will eat you.
Yeah.
And I can't remember exactly what the hours are, but if you pass away in your home, it's really not very many hours that a cat will start to consume you. And it's not because they don't like you. It's because they're getting rid of you.
And what do they go after first? The face?
I
Toes.
think they go after the toes.
Lip.
Yeah. Yeah, I swear my cat does that in the middle of the night just to check and make sure I'm still alive.
What about
Yeah,
the
they
noise consuming parts of their previous owners after they were died and left there for a while, and they had to eat part of the corpse to survive. I mean, I've heard stories of that.
Right.
Are those
Yeah.
the
And I think that when we die, we probably give off a smell that tells them that, to them it's food. Um, because I mean, how many times have you seen a dog, get hurt by something really bad and that dog is screaming and having a fit? What do the other dogs do? They try to kill it.
or
I
they
mean,
do
it's
kill it?
terrible to watch. Yeah, I've seen that happen many times. I mean, I had a dog growing up, and our neighbor was a mean little kid that drove his mom's van. And he drove by one day and ran over my chow on purpose. It didn't kill my dog, but he ran over it and it hurt my dog. And my dog was crying in the ditch. And I went running for my dog, and I was crying because that was my pet. And whenever I was running to my dog, my other dogs beat me to it, and then they finished my dog off. They unalived him. So dogs will do that to another injured dog.
Yes, they will. Only the fittest survive in the dog world.
That's that's it. I wonder if that is in the cryptic world also.
I've never seen a werewolf eat another werewolf out here. And I've never even seen them fight, so they seem to get along quite well.
The evidence in the case, and I think you all find this very interesting also, the evidence in the case was reviewed by the Beaufort County's Dangerous Dog Committee. An investigator with the sheriff's office, the dog's owners, and neighbors familiar with the dogs all testified alongside of K9 professional dog handlers that none of these dogs were dangerous and should be returned to their owners. They didn't even exert a defensive mechanism to their own properties or owners. So these dogs weren't even dangerous. These dogs were
Right. And when they test them for their aggressiveness, they always put a bowl of food, and they'll have that fake hand with an arm, and they'll reach that fake hand in the bowl to see if it'll attack.
Mike?
Michael?
Yeah.
Sorry, Scott, but I apologize, lag here. Read what Rosebud Adkins just wrote.
Rosebud?
Sorry. Rosebud Adkins in chat.
If I can find her. My chat's crazy. There, let's see. Oh my gosh.
Sorry, Scott. I apologize.
No, you're good. You're good. I was just rambling on.
Rancher in Walla Walla killed 5 dogmen. The government choppers showed up. Yeah, I would not be surprised about that at all. They're not going to let you have them.
Oh, no.
That's why nobody will ever prove.
I couldn't help, except for whenever I went through Brenda Hamilton's stuff. I'm going to give you all a little bit more information. I made my own questions, I guess, into this as I investigated it. It's what I used to do when I would investigate. If I found things I didn't understand or wanted to question, I would make my own side questions, like question of myself. Not quite like a split personality like Investigator Mike and Mike, like Sergeant CS or CS. I'm still within the singular person, but I still write down things to remind myself of things. Scott just shakes his head.
Oh, Lord.
So 3 days prior to Miss Hamilton fatal attack, 3 days prior, Beaufort County 911 received a 911 call of an upright, approximately 6 to 7 foot tall, black, hairy creature bipedally walking across the open lot, across the road, and into the wood line at the same spot she was attacked at. The 911 operator, instead of forwarding the information to the officers, She stated that it was a misidentified animal.
Hmm.
Dispatch
That
said
sort of,
that.
that sort of sums that up.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I mean,
even with
I don't
yeah,
know. You know, if you see a dog walking on 2 feet or a wolf-looking thing walking on 2 feet, I mean, are you call any department, they're going to laugh at you.
oh yeah, yeah,
I mean,
They're gonna, and
they're
if you
probably
tell
going to
somebody,
evaluate you.
sorry guys, if you tell somebody about that who don't have any framework for an encounter like a werewolf, they're gonna look at you like you're crazy.
right. That's
'Cause
why
I've seen,
they always say if you have a Bigfoot, dogman, or something cryptid that you want help with, you just say there's someone outside. I need y'all to come, and they
Right.
will come. But if you say, "Oh, it's a Bigfoot outside my door," they're going to laugh, say, "Okay, we'll be there," but I doubt, in my opinion, they'll ever come.
Or they're going to show up and they're going to institutionalize you and
Well,
do a
yeah,
72-hour evaluation on you.
yeah. You see a white jacket coming with big long sleeves, you better run.
Right. Yeah, I think that it may, and I'm not telling people do not call 911. I am not saying that. If you need 911, call 911. What I'm saying is choose your wording. Maybe that might be the better way to say it. Choose your wording.
if it's a life and death situation, yes, be very careful with what you say. Don't say cryptid, werewolf. You know, it's some person. You know, it's a peeping Tom or something.
Not a flying purple people eater.
Correct. A one horn flying purple.
Okay, so one of my questions I had, and I'll probably ask you all these questions too to see if it bothers you as much as it did me. But my first question was, how did Sheriff Coleman of Beaufort County decide so quickly that this attack was by dogs? Why are they so fast to say dogs?
I have an opinion. If you want to hear it,
Sure.
We want to hear it.
they have to have something to blame it on. And since dogs are very common, that's a good scapegoat. It's quick and easy. They can slide it under the rug and move on.
Yeah, and I've never heard of somebody being killed by a cat, a house cat.
And who's going to question somebody dies from their domesticated dog that turned on them? Who's
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine on the news them saying a lady was found half eaten, and we believe it's a cat? I mean,
Right.
if the cat's going to do anything, they're going to scratch you and bite you. They're not going to remove parts, especially towards the middle part of the body.
Right.
It would be
Just
like,
my opinion.
I would agree with you totally, Scott. It's kind of like Mike said earlier about smoke and mirrors. You know, they have to explain it. They have
Right.
to, you know, they have to be able to give you an explanation to make you not question whatever the findings are, so you'll move along and not think anything of it.
Right.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. If anybody gets attacked and they're all chewed up and stuff, it's usually they blame it on a dog.
Uh-huh. What is your opinion, Mike?
I believe dogs are an easy scapegoat because everybody's familiar with
Yep.
dogs. Everybody owns a dog. Dogs are known for attacks. Dogs do kill people.
Oh yeah.
So they
Yeah.
fit the narrative. They fit the narrative. You have your DNA blood types that are close. They may not be exact, but they are still canine in nature. So they have that. It all is close enough to be able to blame it on a canine. It fits, I guess, is what to say. It fits more with the canine.
Right.
If you want to watch canines unalive somebody, you can watch that on Faces of Death.
Right. Yeah, and they know that what they're doing is that it's not unheard of for a canine to do that. So why not blame it on the canine, right?
Right.
Now this part right here, I think will get a lot of people's attention. I found this, and I thought it was interesting, and it actually goes with some things that happened here in Oklahoma, where it all kind of fit together. DNA investigator was presented with very few things to sample. By the time the samples were presented to the University of Florida, they were handled by federal wildlife agents. And the staff at their DNA facility at UNC Cullowhee, samples were delivered back to the sheriff and then sent to the laboratory in the Midwest and wound up at the University of Florida. Okay, now here's the weird thing. The chain of custody furnished in the investigation from Florida has only one name. Therefore, we do not know whether these samples were properly handled. That is the one thing that we're to know, is that these DNA samples were kept at proper temperatures for testing. We don't know that because this stuff was not handled in the proper chain of command. It was not labeled correctly either. Were they properly packaged? We don't know that. Without a chain of custody, all evidence is suspect and I believe could be tampered with or removed. And that is my opinion, guys. My opinion. So I think without the chain of command, and it's not even standard procedure to give DNA samples and evidence to wildlife officials. See, that should have stayed in the law enforcement chain of command. It should have never went to wildlife. But then when you come back and you look at Oklahoma and you look at the cases that we've looked at in Oklahoma where we've had fatalities to where they were suspect, right? They were suspect. Who ended up taking over those cases? Game wardens. And then you have to ask yourself, why are game wardens taking over these cases? And that's what I looked into. Why would game wardens be handling a murder investigation, right? And the only thing that I can come up with, and this is entertainment purposes only, and this is just an opinion, they're federal agents. And I'm going to leave that there. The Beaufort County, and now I looked this up also because I was very interested in this. The Beaufort County wildlife officers. Now, they're going to label this two different ways to try to confuse you. They are not considered federal agents, but they are considered state employees, okay? So you're looking at kind of like a state trooper, okay? State police. That would be their realm of enforcement, right? But, excuse me, they go on and they say also, Beaufort County, North Carolina wildlife official agents work directly with the federal government. So you see where I'm trying to go with that,
Right.
without getting myself
Right.
in too much trouble.
I can read between the lines, Mike.
Yeah, I don't want to get in trouble, but I want to lay it out to where y'all can.
But you know that Travis Carpenter is now going into the second book that his dad wrote, and it's all about DNA.
Oh wow, yep. Travis Carpenter is going to be on next month. I've already spoke to him, and that is a go. So we do have Travis Carpenter coming on next month.
Yeah, he's right now. He's in the book that's talking about the DNA studies, and it's really interesting. It's really good.
His dad and him, Melba Ketchum, they knock it out of the park to me. I mean,
well, yeah, I guarantee if the samples would have went to Melba, it probably would have been a different outcome on the DNA study.
I agree. She would have already known what it was.
Yeah, I guarantee you. Just my opinion,
now,
but I guarantee it.
Yeah, that's what I think too. I think it's my opinion. I think she would have done and figured it out. I even wrote a self-note to myself on this, and I said, why did the sheriff give all the samples to the federal wildlife officials? They clearly had a conflict of interest. This is me, guys. This is my theory. South Carolina wildlife agents are state employees, but also enforce the work with the federal government. I have noticed in other suspicious attacks that wildlife and other game wardens are given control over the scene. Is this because they are federal and these are need-to-know bases?
I think you just summed it up with what you said.
It's difficult to go deep into that.
If you pass that, we might not see you anymore, Mike. They might come and get you.
I ask a lot of questions, but I was an investigator, so that's what I do. I get intrigued and I start digging, and when you do that for 25 years of your life, I mean, it's just second nature to want to know why. Because I'm the kind of person, I want to know why. I want to know where. I want to know where it came from. Why did it do what it did? Why? What makes it function? What makes it think that way? Why would it do that?
Yeah, and I don't understand if they shut the case on that. If it's a closed case, you should be able to get all the information from all that. It should be open to the public. So is it not really closed, but they're just saying it is?
There's definitely an agenda.
Yeah.
You have to remember, people, there is power in information, and who controls the information controls the power.
Yes.
Those that are in the know of this stuff, they don't want everybody to know. That's why they're not going to tell us.
I guarantee. My opinion is somebody there when all the people were coming and the wildlife or whatever, somebody knew what it was. Somebody knew what did that.
You're absolutely right. Just like I don't.
No, go ahead, Randy. Sorry, we have a lag. Go ahead.
I don't believe that DNA is unknown to all authorities. There's authorities that know exactly what that is. They know exactly what. And there's probably a special group. Anytime that stuff shows up in a DNA report, they're going to send some team out there to quiet it down, to make it go away, whatever the case. If somebody killed one of the teachers, they'll make them disappear, if they don't hush.
Right. I mean, every time the truth starts to come out, even in the cryptic world, you start seeing damage control.
Right.
And that happens all the time. It's happening now. Another thing, and I want to take real quick while we got everybody in here. I want to thank all the new people in chat tonight. I want to thank all of our original people in chat tonight for being here tonight. Thank you all so very much for being here, for supporting us. We love you guys. We're glad you're here. Thank you so much for being here. And it means a lot to us. And we will take your questions at the end, I promise, if I missed any. So
just put them in capital.
Yep. And we notice you guys. We see you in chat. So don't think you're not unnoticed. It's deeply felt. So thank you for being here, guys. Thank you.
Hello, Abnormal family.
Another thing I think is weird is even after they gave all the DNA and evidence to, sounds like I'm picking on the wildlife department, to the wildlife department. They took the samples. They didn't follow any kind of chain of command. And then whenever they did return the samples, this was the only answer they give. This is kind of funny. We don't think a wolf did it. That was their answer. That was the answer.
Yeah.
We don't think a wolf did it.
My opinion, what that statement means, my opinion, what that statement means is cover up.
Yeah, because they're saying they don't think a wolf did it. Now, could a wolf man have done it? A werewolf done it? A dog man have done it? I mean,
Could
possibly,
a shark swim up the creek and from the ocean and, I mean, yeah. Yeah.
That goes along the lines, if a frog had wings, he wouldn't bump his ass on the ground when he hopped.
Right.
And that goes to show your point about the smoke and mirrors right there by that statement. That's like, as they're saying that, you got somebody with a broom covering up any evidence that might still be out while they're giving you this misleading information to completely throw you off the scent. I mean, what are you going to do with that information as an investigator?
Right. Rosebud Atkins says many natives have O negative blood, and that's true. A lot of people may disagree, but I am Cherokee. I'm proud Cherokee. I'm proud of my native background, my native culture, and he is right. And I'm going to clear something up just real quick that kind of bothered me. There was a person said that I wasn't enough native because of what my card said. And he goes and he says, well, your great this, great that, great this would have been that. But what he failed to understand is there's two lines of blood in a family. You got the mother and you got the father. And if they're both card holders, you can choose which roll number you fall under. Most generally, you will fall under the less one to keep that blood alive, to keep that family native background alive, to show how proud you are of your people. My grandpa on my mom's side was full-blood Cherokee. So just throwing that out there, just a little lesson for an anal knocky out there. Now the sheriff. When I'm just very proud of my native background. I've always been proud of that. I'm proud of it. Proud of my people and proud of my background. I'm proud of my white background. I'm proud of my German background. You should be proud of where you come from. That's what I believe.
Yes.
When the sheriff was asked why he gave the evidence to the wildlife officers, he was actually asked that. He stated, and tell me if this is not interesting to you guys. He stated this: the feds are always superior to us. We had no choice. Okay. Didn't they just say that wildlife in North Carolina are state employees and not federal?
Yep.
So there's a little bit of contradiction going on right there.
Yes, there is.
Because he says the feds are always superior to us. We had no choice but to release the evidence to the wildlife officers. But the wildlife officers are state employees. Are they playing under two different colors?
Yeah. Hired by the state and worked for the government.
Exactly, yeah. It'd be easy to keep your eyes on things, wouldn't it? If you had federal agents disguised as state employees, you'd have your fingers in a little bit of everything.
Right.
Nothing was being done to move the investigation forward until the commissioners formed a 3-man committee to investigate. The samples were then sent to a laboratory again in the Midwest for identification of hair. They kept the samples several months before they were released and sent to the University of Florida again. But here's the crazy thing. Those samples got lost, so we don't know what they yielded.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
They must have been samples. Too good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
those come up missing.
they sure did a lot of testing and a lot of investigating on this case for it to be, one person that, they know what it is. There's people that know.
Well, I'll tell you this much. If I was anybody putting any type of funding or time and effort into the investigation on this, to have them keep losing samples, I'd be pissed. That's just my opinion.
Or at least you would stop sending in the samples on the 5th one when it comes back the same thing.
Right?
Right.
I mean, to me, I'll tell you what I think they're doing, in my opinion, if y'all want my honest opinion. Stalling and buying time. You send off samples, people ask you questions, we won't know till they're back in. It gives you a perfect deflection, a perfect stall technique.
Would you like to hear my opinion on why they're doing that?
Sure.
Why are they covering up the truth? How else are you going to get people to believe a lie that we come from monkeys? With all the evidence of giant bones that they found all around the world and stories of cryptid all around the world, they take the truth. They take the truth of, let's say, what they did to the Native American people with their information. They turn it into myth and legend. The stories of the Native Americans, the United States, well, we're not going to say that. I'm not going to say that. But the powers that did that, they took the truth, and we can't make this the truth, so how can we make it not the truth? By changing the name of the evidence. From scientific facts, we're going to take that and take it, well, let's change it to mythology. Well, let's change it to legend. That way, with the disinformation, you throw people off, because who's going to believe something that's a myth, something that's a legend? Who's going to believe that data? That's my opinion.
I had somebody say something in chat. My chat froze up for a second.
Mine did.
I don't know if anybody caught it, but it was somebody apologizing to me for something, and I'm not sure why he would be apologizing. Did anybody else catch that? I lost
my
it.
Chat?
It was in chat. I seen it roll up, and then I tried to find it, and the chat wouldn't let me move the chat. But he said, "I apologize, Mike, good sir," or something like that, to Mike, good sir, or something.
I'm looking.
I don't know what that was about. I missed it. My chat went haywire right at that time, and I couldn't go back on it. Oh, Steve Wolf said he apologized. Oh, I didn't know you'd done anything to apologize for, Steve. Sorry about that. I couldn't catch it. My chat went crazy.
Glad to see you here, Steve Wolf.
Yeah, good to see you. Man, my chat is crazy. I don't know about your alls, but it's just not even cooperating with me right now. And then just to wrap this up, so we can get where we can open the floor and discuss it. Initially, the sheriff put out a lot of effort into proving that local dogs had attacked Miss Hamilton. A great effort to examine dogs, obtain stool samples was put forth by the sheriff. All of that effort proved that local dogs did not attack Miss Hamilton. That's my belief, guys. That's my opinion. The flawed DNA samples proved the same thing, while eliminating the possibility simply raised the question of what did attack the victim even higher. That should not have ended the investigation, but only intensified it, in my opinion. It looks to me like the sheriff made an early decision about what happened to Miss Hamilton, and then directed investigations to prove that he was right. We are left with a mess that he created. Did he make the decisions based on what he believed, or based on what he was made to believe, or based on what the feds told him to release? My opinion. As of today, the cause of death in Miss Hamilton's autopsy report is still a mystery.
Boy, I feel warm and fuzzy after all that information. Thank you, Mike.
That was just my closing statement of opinions. I always try to give a closing statement of opinions whenever I do an investigation. That's just my opinion, my humble opinion.
And my opinion is that my opinion, I believe they have DNA from cryptids, because one thing in the book that Travis Karp is reading right now, it said he had sent samples to certain people, and they documented that it was a new DNA that they connected it to the cryptids. If that makes any sense. That's just an opinion.
Amen, Wolf Lady. We are proud natives, that's for sure. Nobody can
Amen.
take that from.
Amen.
If I wouldn't have been a native, Wolf Lady, and she will tell you this, guys, I'm going to talk about her just a little bit. I'm going to gossip a little bit, okay, Wolf Lady? The Wolf Lady lives in one of the most native areas in Oklahoma. She still lives in the area to where the old ways are practiced, to where the true natives are at, to where the full bloods live, where they have lived and where they have resided and performed rituals, ceremonies, hunts, gatherings, you name it, they done it there. She lives there. She is well known in the tribe, and she will tell you herself, if I was not Cherokee, there is no way the shamans would have ever visited with me over the Girl Scout murders. I would have never have been able to visit with a shaman because I would not have been native blood, and they will not visit with you over that unless you are
Right.
native. That's why they had to have their meetings, talk to me, see who I truly was before I was ever. And what they called me, the Wolf Lady will tell you, they called me good medicine and said that I was able to speak with them. And I am very humbled to have been able to be in their presence and to be able to hear the knowledge that they shared with me. I was very humbled.
I'm heading out, guys. Sorry, I'm tired. I need to get some rest. So thank
Go
you.
to sleep. Go to sleep.
Hey, just leave your picture up there and go to sleep.
Yeah. Night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Sound like a
feeling
dog.
better.
Wouldn't be the first time we've heard snoring on a conversation.
Well, I'm telling you, Mike. Do you know what a horse sounds like
Yeah,
at 3 o'clock in the morning?
that was funny. Exactly, Lisa Ann. Exactly. I think, guys, what
Does
happened?
anybody have any questions? And if they do, can they put it in capital?
Yeah. Now is the question time of the show. And I just want to say that to the family of Miss Hamilton, if you're even watching this or you ever even see this, I hope that you find closure, that you find peace, and that someday you'll find what happened to your loved one. I believe, personally, my opinion, there's people out there that know what happened. I don't believe you will ever know the truth. But the one thing that I think that we can stand strong on is I know that y'all were Christian, is that someday you will see her again. And it's never As a Christian in our beliefs, it is never goodbye. It is always see you later. And someday you'll know.
Yes, yes, yes.
I'm not seeing any questions. We had a great crew in here tonight. We had I think, the best people you could have had on on here tonight. Squatching Grandmama, I think, had a question. So, since I missed everything, what is your all's overall thoughts on what happened? Do you think it was a cryptid? I definitely do believe it was a cryptid, just based on the DNA reports and how they came back. And Melba Ketchum, even on what she said, what Scott Carpenter said, I believe Travis Carpenter believes the same way, that the father was angelic, and I think that's why we don't have the father of these. So yes, I do believe that that definitely it was cryptid, in my opinion. I'll let Steve Scott and Randy give you their opinions on what they think.
My opinion is I do believe it was Nephilim, cryptid DNA. And my opinion is they probably have it on file. Somebody. Randy?
You guys summed it up already. I would have to agree with both of you about him being some kind of critter, more than likely Nephilim, some type. Whether it was a werewolf, I don't know. Or, you know.
Right.
I think we all agree that it was something that is not normal and something that probably did not belong there.
Right. It had canine on the mother's side, but it didn't have anything they could identify on the father's side.
Right.
So that sort of narrows it down to a good chance of it being encrypted, in my opinion.
That's what I believe too. Amen, Rosebud. I believe that too. All right. Well, I don't see any more questions. Oh wait, we got one more. Just as I say that, Sunshine's got one. What is your opinion that they made such a point of saying she worked at a Christian school all of her life? I mean, we could speculate, and we could go in to say that they believe that it was some sort of a evil, occult, or satanic attack, that it was something that came from evil that done it because of her background. Or we could just say that they were giving us a look into her life, that she was a good Christian lady, that where she's at now is a better place, that in the end, whatever attacked her, she was the winner because she has eternal life. So I think that will give people a lot of, I mean, we have to have hope and faith, right? Without that, what do we have, really? Nothing.
Michael, you're muted.
Did I get muted?
Yep, somehow.
Can you hear me?
I can.
I can see your mouth moving, but nothing's coming out except for a few things. Say something.
Test, test, test.
I can hear you.
We can hear him, but his voice, his picture, or his mouth is like the Godzilla movies. His mouth is moving, but the voice has already came out. See,
we have a lag.
You got a big lag.
Okay. Well, Scott, if you want to, you can go ahead and walk us out of here. We'll wrap this one up. We're done anyway, so I'll let you start.
Okay.
And then we'll
yeah. I want to thank everybody for showing up tonight. Thanks for your support, and may God bless everybody. Go ahead, Randy.
I just want to say and thank you, Abnormal family, for everybody showing up tonight and supporting Mike and the Abnormal Investigation channel. We're glad that you're all here. We appreciate all the hard work that Mike puts into these investigations that he does, and I do appreciate you, Scott, and thank you everybody for coming in here tonight and joining us for this show tonight. We appreciate it.
Yeah, I want to thank everybody for being in here tonight. I was watching chat, and it's always heartwarming to see everybody that comes to spend the night with us, to share your opinions, to be here with us. We really do appreciate that. It's getting to the point to where Scott and myself and Randy and everybody on our team we're getting to where we are starting to know people by their names. Like, we don't just say, how many's going to be in here tonight. We're getting to where we know everybody, and that's family. Is for us all to know each other, to be able to visit with one another, and that means a lot to us. Every time we do a video, or when I see y'all commenting on the video drops, I do.
Yeah.
How many channels out there actually say that they answer every comment on every video they drop? I answer every one of them. If I don't, I at least put a heart on everything you all say to let you know I read it. I mean, how many other channels out there do that? They acknowledge each and every comment. I may not get back to your second, third, or fourth comment, but I always make sure to at least acknowledge your first one. And that takes a lot of time, but it's worth it to me because I feel like y'all are worth it. I just want to say that I love and miss Hunter each and every day. That boy is the smartest, most intelligent young man I've ever met. I miss him each and every day, every second of every minute. There's nothing that young man can't do. I love him. He could never disappoint me, no matter what he ever done. I love him more than he will ever know. He is the better part of me, always has been the better part of me, and he's always what's been that's kept me going, that's gave me faith and hope. And I will continue to do everything that I can until I see you again, my little friend. And with God at my side, the truth will be revealed. I believe that in my heart. My faith tells me that the tongue has the power of life and death, and I speak that we will be reunited. I speak that with my Christian brothers and sisters that stand with me on the word of God, that he's coming home. I believe it and I confess it. I believe it in my heart and I confess it with my mouth that he's coming home. Guys, throw the purple hearts up for Hunter. We'll see y'all on the
Amen.
God bless. Take care. And thank you for your support. We'll see y'all
Good
on the
night,
next one.
everybody.
Good night.